Hello and welcome to part two of the Epic Game Jam. Right, so this is just like a recap video of what we've got up to today. So I've been mainly working on the enemy AI and adding some more functionality to the ship. I had a big crash and I think it broke one of my blueprints in ways that I couldn't figure out. So I had to rebuild the entire AI once. That took a couple of hours, so it's just been pretty slow going today, but we're nearly there. The enemies do not shoot back at us yet, but we have changed some things. So what I've got now is a plane, right, that extends across the entire play space. We're going to make this larger, but this is just for testing. It's burning my computer out because this is a relatively high poly, this ship, and it's got an interior to it as well. So there's a lot of polys being rendered they don't need to. I mean, if I just go inside, you can see it's a pretty detailed model. Can I get inside of it? But it does have an interior, all modeled and everything, so we don't want that. So yeah, one of my big goals over the next couple of days is to just model some ships that I can use. I mean, I don't want to use these Star Destroyer. I think they're Star Destroyer models. I just got them off the internet. They were free to download, and they've been good to work with. Okay, so I'll show you what I've got. So now the enemies. So we've got this turret now, an auto turret. And we've got these lock-on missiles. So essentially, we have a turret that will lock onto the closest enemy. Now I need some code in there that basically gets it to check which the nearest enemy is all the time, because right now it'll just stay locked onto that until it dies, and then there'll be something else coming in. And then we have these. So if I just zoom out a little bit, you can see these a little better. We have these missiles that sort of shoot in the air and then lock on again to the nearest target. I'm pretty happy with those. But again, they will only do that once, so I need to work on that as well. So now, it has swap target, so I just need to apply that to the other one. Okay, and that's been about it. My turning circle is ridiculous. So I need to work on the controls for the ship more, because it's too easy to get away from the AI. But when they're shooting at you, perhaps that will be good. But right now, I can barely turn. Is the turn independent on? No. So I haven't added any more speed stuff in, but that's going to be the next thing tomorrow. Probably adding a boost. And trying to get the full loop in, so getting so that the enemies attack us and that we can really test out the loop. I have decided to cut out the moving between layers, so like having an up and down layer. I just think that'll be extra stuff. I mean, getting this just working, I think, is going to be a big enough challenge. So, because right now we've got the enemies coming straight at you, they can collide with you. And if they collide with you, they can knock you out of place and all this sort of stuff. But I'm thinking about, if two ships collide, then we're going to spawn in the destructible mesh. And I think that's how we're going to do destruction of ships as well. As soon as a ship gets destroyed, we'll spawn in a destructible mesh of that, and then we'll just add an impulse. I also want to do something where when the ships take damage, I want to spawn in a destructible mesh in the explosion, so it looks like there's debris coming off it when it gets hit. But that's just a little detail. But yeah, I'm just going to completely focus on the ship combat over the next day or two, and then do the ship models. Maybe I'm going to probably have a go at doing something tonight, but I tried last night. It was rubbish. So just need some inspiration to come to for that. But I definitely want these kind of big battleships. We may even do some kind of like fighter, depending on the AI that how far I get with it. I tried just doing this AI without using Blackboard, but turned out that it's probably better to use the Blackboard for this kind of really simple AI. But yeah, all we've got so far is we find the player, we focus on the player, we move to with a parallel, so that it's moving to and finding the location at the same time, and that's constantly updating. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. It's been how long have we got? I've only had 5 minutes. It's been a pretty slow day, but we've got all the damage effects happening and all that. Like I said, most of the day was spent moving over to this enemy test parent because the enemy parent completely broke on me. But I did. I mean, so I think what the problem was. Let me just get rid of that and make this visible. I'll show you the problem that I've had. Now, I believe I may have, just before I started the video, figured it out. So we'll give it a try. So we'll make this visible. Now, there's just a plane. Okay, we need that because we need a nav mesh. That was one of the big difficulties I had, is like, well, how am I going to do navigation without a nav mesh? So I was looking into it, and I think you can do some 3D volume stuff, but it looked complicated. So they were like, right, the oldest trick in the book is just put planes down and make them invisible. I was like, okay, that sounds good. So we done that. But the problem I was having is that you've got to be very careful with where you place these. Now, these are large ships, and I've been placing them like this, so that I'm thinking, all right, well, the mesh needs to collide with the ground in order for it to recognize the nav mesh, right? So let's move that there and see if it still moves. See, now he's not moving. Now, and it took me ages to figure out why, but I think the reason is because you've actually got to take this capsule as like the bottom of him. So it has to be slightly overlapping with the ground, but not overlapping with the ground. And then it will move, because now it recognizes like the character is sat on there, because it's the capsule, isn't it, that's doing all of the detecting of the nav mesh and such. So yeah, so I think that's it. So if we went now to the, let's just test that. So if I bring in the enemy parent, where is that? Enemy and parent. And using that, what we're thinking, okay, so it automatically does it when you place it in. Does he move? Because he's got the same, let's move him further away because he's in the stopping distance. So let's just, yeah. But you see how it doesn't move. He did move, but then he didn't move cleanly. And that was the problem I was having. He was moving all over the place. And I think it's because I was working on this blueprint while it crashed. And it's in some way corrupted it. See, it's not moving now. And if we just move him slightly down so that he's, like that, and hit play and see if that works. No, he did move slightly, you'll see, but there's something wrong with this blueprint because it's set up exactly the same way as these, and these work. So that was a big annoyance today. Right, so I'll just give it one last play to show, show you where we are. Get rid of this plane. Well, don't get rid of it, but just make it hidden in game. Okay, and then get started with. So this is an auto turret, so it automatically locks on, but you're going to be able to turn it on and off because you're going to need to be able to do that. The enemy AI, again, is not brilliant, and I'm not expecting it to be brilliant for the finished game, but as long as it's functional, it attacks you and gives you some challenge. That'll be good enough for this. Also, I'm just going to tinker with them so the speed and all that sort of stuff is working. We might not want them to constantly turn, but update every now and again. But again, it's just dependent on how much time I have to tinker with all that stuff towards the end. So tomorrow is going to be finishing off the loop, making sure that we can die, they can die, all that stuff. And then the day after we'll be modeling the ships if I don't get any of that done tonight. So that's the plan for the next couple of days, and I shall see you in the next update.